Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Dan Reviews It All. Welcome to the channel if it's the first time you've been here. Today we're going to take a look at the Dewalt 18 volt lithium ion battery based line strimmer. I am a landscape gardener. I do a heavy amount of grass and weed and hedge maintenance. But the reason I bought this is because we're used to using our two-stroke Stihl and other brand names of petrol style strimmers, and they really are powerful, and the sort of battery based strimmers haven't really got there yet in terms of runtime. I've got all the confidence in the world that this will be able to cut through things just as well, hopefully just as well as my petrol strimmers, but in reality, if you're doing it on a commercial scale, they haven't quite got the runtime. I'm told that this can give us sort of 40 minutes at best lasting time on a 5 amp hour battery. But the reason I have bought it is because it has come into my sort of comfortable price bracket for my business now. And I do intend on getting a couple more batteries for it. But really, this is for light maintenance. So when we go and look after several properties a day, they shouldn't really be growing out of control. So there's no way I would use something like this if I was going to be strimming knee-high grass in a really unkept mixture of grasses sort of back garden. This is purely for when we go around and cut that lawn every 2 weeks in the summer and the edges need tidying up. We can whack this one out really quickly. Turn it on, no pulling cords, no filling and mixing petrol, no leaks. Sometimes if you're a gardener and you transport your tools around, you'll know if you have a roll of in the van and your strimmer sort of rolls inside and it lands sort of with the petrol cap sort of facing down, that's not a problem at first, but obviously when the heat goes up and the petrol expands, the pressure forces that, the air pressure forces it out of the tank, so you get a petrol smell in your van. So there's none of that with a battery based one. So I have been kind of hoping they were going to get on track and give us something that's actually quite usable. Well, it's made by Dewalt, which is primarily a industrial or commercial professional equipment builder, so I'm hoping that that's what they've had in mind when they've made this one, and really if it doesn't stand up to it, I'll be talking to Dewalt about it and obviously what we can do maybe to resolve some of the issues that I may experience. Apart from that, really, we're going to do an unboxing first, and then we're going to test it out on my really small back garden just to see how it performs. I've got no doubt that this will, be happy to cut all of my back garden. So putting it through this sort of time test, I won't be able to do at this minute, but we will be using this on commercial scale, so I'll be able to tell you whether it really, on the standard battery, is enough for a day if we're doing several gardens and we're just tidying up the edges. Was this enough to get through a day's work and then charge battery, or do we really need a second battery, or do we need a 9 hour amp hour battery instead? So those are the kind of things I want to learn, but let's jump into the unboxing of it and we'll go through some of the pros and cons. Okay, so let's take a look inside, see what we get. I'm told that the actual construction of this is a little bit tricky, but I've literally put together and repaired and serviced hundreds of strimmers in my day, so I'm hoping there'll be nothing inside here that baffles me too much. And I'll do a start to finish sort of construction with you on camera, so that if you do get stuck doing it yourself, you can follow what I do, and it should solve a few issues for you if you haven't. Hopefully if I can even get it out of the top of the box. Now they do several versions of the strimmer. They do a 20 volt one, I think, which was the slightly older one, and they also do the flexi volt one, which I would be good. I would love to be able to afford that, but really this is replacing just one that's broken down recently, and when I went to see the garden I really decided that it was silly having a industrial strimmer, should we call it, which was I think it was a Stihl 420, which is a big strimmer, a bike handle strimmer, when really there was maybe 5 square meters to cover, so I felt like it was a bit a sledgehammer to crack a nut here. So another thing I like is this one snaps, so you can transport it quite easily. Sometimes things are quite tight in space in the van, so that's quite good. So there we go, you've got your guard, goes around the head of the strimmer. So stop the graphic flinging into you, and we've got a handle. So we'll need to assemble those. In this box here, I'm guessing we're going to have the battery and charger. You get a standard charger out of the box, which I think is 75 minutes to charge, start to finish. Our 5 amp hour battery is about 75 minutes to charge with a standard charger. Again, if it means resorting to sort of using multiple batteries or getting through the day with one battery is fine, but could do with a charge sometimes, then maybe purchasing a rapid charger is an option. This is obviously Dewalt's own one, but you can get generic ones and you can also get generic batteries, but seeing a recent review of those, I've heard that they're not so good. The initial use is fine, but they don't hold charge for as long, very quickly. The chap online said within a week he had actually his Dewalt one was still giving him the same performance, but the generic battery wasn't. He was getting down to 5 minutes out of it. So there's a battery power indicator, and that is on 1 bar. So I'm going to need to give that a charge. And a very neat charger here. And obviously multiple batteries, I'll probably end up getting another charger. It's whether or not I go for the fast one, whether that's really going to be beneficial. If we're only going to charge them at night, we don't need it. I'd save the money and just go for the standard charger, I think. So, right, so that's all the fun bits. Got the instructions, which, like most men, I probably won't even look at. This will be for the mounting of, almost certainly the mount. Yeah, there you go, 4 screw holes. The mounting of the guard at the end of the strimmer, and this one will be for attaching the handle to the left-hand handle. If you use it that way around. Let's get this open. It's like Christmas come early. I love tools, I love gardening tools, because I've used so many, I really feel like I can compare them and instantly I'll be able to say whether I thought it was worth it or not, or if I made a bad investment. And there's no practical way, it's all been glued shut, so I'm going to have to cut it to get it out. It's a bit of a pain because obviously, oh no, there's a flat there. I didn't want to cut anything in case I really do feel that I need to return the item. Sealing it up is fine to resell, but if you start breaking the boxes, then that's not good. Nice presented. The materials are very good. Nice rubber grip handle there, which is important if you use this for a long period, because it's reducing your grip over a period of time, and then you can start slipping in your hands, especially if you're not wearing gloves. Oh, it's so lightweight. That is so lightweight. I have no idea. I mean, I've seen the Flexi Volt one, and it seemed lightweight, but this is the more basic model. The Flexi one was just still too expensive. I don't have loads of tools. In fact, I don't have any. But I might end up getting their drill, which uses the same XR battery, which means I can, swap and change. And I'm sure they'll come down in price over time. And this one really doesn't. Help you try and get it out of the box. That one. Now I picked this one up for £200, right? So £199 from Amazon. The thing with this is that there's 2 options. You can buy the bare tool. I don't mean like a grizzly bear, I mean the tool only, which is without a charger and without a battery. Because I haven't got a charger and a battery from any of the tools, I thought the best thing to do was obviously have a way of powering it. So you can buy the bare tool at £149, or you buy it with the battery and the charger. And I have checked out, buying these separately works out about £59 for the 5AH one. So, and that doesn't even come with a charger, so it's definitely worth buying them together. You get a discount. This doesn't qualify in the UK, at least, for the 3-year guarantee with Dewalt. So you only get the 1-year guarantee, presumably because it's not really what they would like to class as a commercial item, even though they primarily do commercial products. They think, well, this is a lightweight one. It's not going to be, it's their entry product. They don't want to be replacing them 2 years down the line. I have no doubt if you get the Flexi Volt one, the 52 volt I think it is, output, you would probably get a 3-year guarantee with that one. But they start at around $269 for just the tool, and then it's however much you want to spend on the battery. Kind of sky's the limit on that. So as you can see, all that is on like an elastic thing. It's got one of those popper buttons there. I just press those in and pops out. It's the cord that powers the head is flexible. That turns the head is flexible. So getting it in and out of the van, if we're really tight, I mean, I don't intend on collapsing this often because the cord will become worn after a while. So we'll probably keep it locked together. That seems a little bit loose, so I'm hoping there's something that tightens it up. Well, I can't see much in these boxes right now. There's nothing in there. Okay, so right, that's going to have to be looked at because this is tight. Maybe I need to tighten it up just. But where those connect, I was hoping for something that would go over that to hold it firmly together so there's no wobble. All I get is the handle and the head screws. So let's have a look at the instructions. Oh, you have to look at the instructions. How terrible is that? 3-year guarantee it says there. Registration within 4 weeks of purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, well I'll have a look at that. When I did check, it said it didn't have a 3-year guarantee. So we'll wait and see. It's true what they say, the instructions aren't particularly filled with information, they're just, I mean, I think they kind of, because it's an industrial item, they kind of expect you to know what you're looking at to a certain degree. You know, it's like one of those, it's like a set of instructions for a car, it may show you where the buttons and things are, but it doesn't necessarily show you how to use them. That's okay, we can work it out, but there's nothing about the middle join there. So that's one thing I would know. You can see the flexibility in that. Maybe there's a way of tightening that up. It doesn't look like it. I mean, these look pretty tight as they are. And it's the join anyway. Look, there's 2 holes there, so I'm wondering, is there a way of like joining those 2 bits together? It had a cable tie between the 2. I wonder if like you can, there's some sort of little bracket that you can buy or something that goes on there. Anyway, I'm not too impressed with that. There's got to be a solution. They can't expect, Dewalt don't do naff products like that. They don't expect it to be wobbly like that. I have to have the machine to it. Even if I have to jerry rig something to hold it snap together quite firmly, I can do that. But that's not the point, you shouldn't have to do that. There's nothing more in the box. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so let's look at this bit. This is where the battery goes. The battery literally just snaps in there like that. You can get any of the batteries, the XR batteries will fit this, whether it's 2, 2.5, I can't remember what Dewalt do. 5, they do 6, 7.5 I think. I mean, if I was really wanting something for battery power, which is one of my main concerns, really I'd be looking at the Ego ones, because they've been tested over and over and people say that they are pretty good battery power. And I've seen a Strimmer lose to a Milwaukee one, so who knows, it's all up in the air. I think it's a little bit random and depends what you're cutting. Let's look at the head. This is a nice size Strimmer head. It's got a ratchet. It's just taped to the string down there. So they're using twisted string. Let's open it up, because I would like to see how you replace the string. The Ego one have a power wind system. They're about £270, I think, for the Ego Strimmer current one. But you press a button and it sucks in the cable for you. But what concerns me about that is it's another little motor that can go wrong, and if it does go wrong and you're halfway through a job, can you just do it manually? It doesn't appear that you can. I can't find anywhere that says that you can. Okay, does the spool come out? It doesn't look like it. So do you have to wind it in place? That would be rather cumbersome. There's no spring that comes loose, which is always a big problem with petrol ones, because you just take it off and then boing, you've lost the spring for it. yeah, I mean, it's got a bump end, so you can bump it. The spring holds the spool in place. When you bump it, it pushes it back and allows some string to come out. You know, fair enough. Let's see if this... No, you really do have to wind it in place. So normally you take this spool out, you can wrap your string around it, put it back in. But with this one, it looks like you put it, you wind the cord in place. Now that's fine because, you know, it might be better anyway. At the end of the day, you can put your cord in and then twist these things and it will twist it into place for you, which is not what they've done, because I can see that cable is overlapping in there, and they always do this when it's a new one because the guys in the factory kind of just wrap it up. They don't consider actually the ease of the spool line coming out after, you know, halfway through using it. So that's a big deal for me. So I always like do it like fishing line, so it's moving along as you're winding and then back over, so the line can come out easy. You don't want it to snap and then it will not come out and you have to take the head apart, try and find where it's, you know, the cables, and then the other end of the cable comes out as well, and you're kind of just getting, you know, you costed yourself 2 hours to do a string job and you're there 10 minutes, 20 minutes trying to fix the line in place. There's nothing more annoying. Now, I've got the battery in. I had it rolling around on the floor there, and not once did it set off by itself. I'm sure the buttons are pressed, but obviously there's two safety. You've got an on-off switch here, which has to be in the on. You've got the safety here, which has a trigger, so you have to push that trigger up and press it down before you can press the actual accelerator there. So I'll show you. There you go. You have to turn it on, flick this little switch forward and hold it down, which you would do with your thumb, and oh, I can see it's about to go. So yeah, so that's like a 3-point locking system, because the amount of time you put stuff on the floor, it presses this, and if this is just jammed or you've set it so that, which I have done on my string before, you set it so it's on constantly, which is really bad, then it will press that and just start spinning, but your hands might be on the blade if it's got the bush cutter on, so again, that could be annoying and dangerous. One thing I can see is when this gets thrown around, which I'm hoping my guys won't do, I can see that this might very well break off because it's just plastic, and it is at a point where, you know, the bits that sit on the floor will hold it, but if you put it, say if you've got a broom there or something and you slap it down and it presses against the broom, that could quite easily snap that off, so that could be some heartache because you'd have to replace the trigger before you could start using it again effectively. Let's give this thing a whirl. I don't know if you can see much of it there, but oh, that's so... Now there is some vibration coming off it. It could maybe be reduced a little bit if that centre bit was a bit tighter, but there is some vibration coming off it. But in terms of vibration, this is so much less vibration, so much more less vibration than using a petrol unit, and it's instant. No pulling cords, no priming it with a little button. I've even had to put my mouth over the petrol cap once and blow air into it to try and force some liquid around the motor. So none of that. It is, if it doesn't turn on when you press those buttons, there's something wrong. So actually, build quality, I'm quite impressed. I am just concerned about this centre bit, and I'm sure it's just something I've missed. Maybe there's a little clip that I was supposed to put on and it's fallen on the floor or something. I hope that's the case, otherwise this is going to be a downside. I'm just going to put on the guard, and if we're being honest, a lot of us don't even use the guard, which is really bad, I know, but we sometimes don't use it because it gets in the way a little bit. Now, if you're going to use the bump wind on feature where you bump the head and the cable comes out itself, you need the guard on, because otherwise it will continue to come out too far, and this little blade here, it's not particularly sharp, but it stops the line from over spooling, you know, too much coming out, and it keeps it at an even size. It nips so if it comes out too far, it just cuts the little edge off like that. Yeah, so I can see now that this little sort of guard goes underneath the spool and then screws in to the bottom of it under here. So we're going to need to take this off. So the instructions are, I mean, there's no word. They are absolutely terrible. And Dewalt need to work on that, man, because this product is slightly different to other products, and I would expect them to sort of point out certainly the maintenance side of it, you know, putting the guard on, taking the guard off, so on and so forth. Operation preparation, I haven't read it, but I can see why people are annoyed. Just from experience though, I can tell you that this is a clockwise motor, and it doesn't appear to be a way to unscrew it or unclip it, but I know that this little spool down here, that is going to be what it's screwed into. It's a metal object here, the rest is plastic. So I bet if I hold that and twist this clockwise, there we go, it's unscrewing. You know, it's that easy, but if you didn't know, you would probably come unstuck and you'd be looking for an Allen key or a screw hole or something like that. But the idea is, because the motor's turning clockwise, that it's never going to undo itself. It'll have to go anti-clockwise to unscrew. I think I got that right. Anyway, I turned it clockwise while it's upside down, so it's, you know, when it's going clockwise, when it's the right way up, it'll just tighten, it won't undo, and then you won't have your strimmer head flying across the garden at 200 miles an hour. Right, so that's just a little washer, and this is a thread here that it screws onto, but that is what holds the ratchet, so you can hold that in place and stop the ratchet turning, and then it just lets you do it. So you do your thing, you don't need any tools, which is great, because replacement and taking this off, if you need a better, you don't want it to be stuck on here and you're trying to get cables, you can take it off to do your cabling. I'm quite happy with that. Then you can get this, dead easy again, it's snug, it's perfect fit for it. So you just put this front bin on first, it links into the little sort of, you've got like a little square bit there, it goes into the square join on the thing there, and then when you push it down gently, that's in place, that's locked in place. It's not snapping, but it's nice and snug, so it's locked in place. Now, let's get our screws. These are Phillips, no they're not. What are they? Are they Allen key ones? They're Torx ones. Okay, so have they provided me with a Torx screw? No, they haven't. So now I'm really annoyed, because if I was out, if I just got this and wanted to use it, of course I'd have to charge it, but I might have batteries for other tools. I think, right, I can just hit the ground running. I'd need to use it without the guard, which is making people potentially use your product unsafely. Does this Allen key fit it? No, it doesn't. So I'm going to have to go off and get a Torx screwdriver to get that on there. There we go, and luckily my little one will fit. I just need to go off and get my socket set. Now, this will probably make accessing this ratchet bit a lot harder when you come to put the screw head back on, the strimmer head, but you know, it's not going to be a big deal. Alright, here we go. Screw this little gem back on. Oh, can't find it. There it is. No! That is fiddly. I'm going the wrong way. It's going the wrong way. I'm thinking righty tighty. Of course it's lefty tighty, isn't it? With these, because the thread's backwards. Got my thumb underneath there, so I've got my thumb firmly on the little collar that's holding the ratchet. You can hit the ratchet, but if I hold it and I can twist it tight, just put the head back on. On that easy, yeah. It's quite tough. I mean, these things have to be tough, to be fair, so they have to be tough because they get bashed around. So if it's a little bit tight putting it back together, I've got no problem with that, as long as it does go back together. There we go. So that is the grass guard in place. It still works. Right. Let's get the handle on. Now they've included one of these sponge handles, which I really hate because it breaks, and then you're left with the idea of, if it's not you. I mean, I've experienced this myself, but then people are tempted to tape it up to keep the sponge on. That's the worst, because then the tape goes all gungy and it doesn't really fix things. So, you know, I hate those sponge handles, but never mind. Hopefully it won't rip, but generally if it's getting a lot of use, it will, the sponge will break off, and then people are like, oh no, I'll just put some insulation tape around it, or duct tape. That's really annoying. Put duct tape on it because that has that like really sticky substance underneath, and it's the nice smooth handle's gone forever. But Dave, if you're listening, I expect you to look after this. You're the worst with the Strimmer. Right, so bit of an odd design, because most of them, you know, don't look like this, but it's just got a singular handle, not one with a little arm, because you don't need that little arm. You know, on petrol Strimmers, that little arm that sticks out is for using it sideways in case you are actually using it for strimming a hedge. You know, you've got the hedge attachment on, the hedge trimmer attachment, and you try and turn the petrol Strimmer one way because you want to use it that way around, but because then the pipe that is in the petrol tank is not getting any oil, it starts to cut out on you. Whereas if you use the side that the arm is sticking up on, and you hold that, and make sure that you're holding the petrol can the right way up on the petrol tank on the actual Strimmer, it means that the petrol is at the bottom, because of gravity, at the bottom of that petrol tank is where the suction pipe is, primer pipe, and it will suck up the oil. So if you have it that way, no oil gets to the engine. If you have it that way, no petrol gets in. But of course we don't need that with this, because that's the whole point. The battery, you can hold it any which way. You're not worried about the fuel line not getting touched. Alright, and that's it. Unfortunately there isn't any other bits on here to potentially hold that connection shut. So I am going to Google that and see what people have said, because I just don't like how this is floppy. Maybe when you're holding it, it's still got some weight to it, and it's quite well balanced, but there's some weight on the end on both ends. So, you know, typically the value, the balance value will be in the middle, but it's got a rubber grip for your arm to rest against. They don't heat up as much as petrol. You don't have to worry about having the exhaust exposed on this one, because it's not petrol. And I've literally melted my clothes before, where I've been strimming, maybe doing a hedge or something, holding it at height, but the exhaust is backed right onto my jacket, and it's burnt a hole in my pocket in more ways than one. So yeah, that's because the exhaust is pumping out a load of fumes and heat, and that melted my jacket. So there you go. So you don't have any of these issues with this. Let me see how easy that is to get out. So you have to push it right in. I mean, the beauty of that is it does fold up really well. And I don't think that those holes are to support it. I think they're actually you can put that through there. You can put the bracket into it. So that seems to fit in there rather nicely. So that hinge, the two holes line up there. And I'm wondering, is the reason for that so that you can actually overlap the holes and put something through it so it's locked? I don't know. I'll have to Google it. Maybe you guys can tell me if you're a bit more of a Strimmer expert than me. I'm comfortable with that. I said I've used a lot of these, but I'm, learning things every day. I suppose the next thing now is to go out and give it a go on some grass. Let's give it a go with the thing. Right, now I always check this. Is the line longer than the guard? It is. You see, now this little blade here is going to have to cut off so you'll get a hell of a noise when you first turn it on. It'll go because it's like trying to cut off the Strimmer line. But let's give it a go. Hopefully it won't damage my camera. Ready? It has some nice power to it, and I can hold it with one arm. And I'm not a muscle man down or anything, but I can hold it with one arm, and I couldn't do that with a petrol one. It would just be, I'd be hoping that most of the weight would be on the back end with the petrol one, but because they're normally a bit heavy, you wouldn't be able to do that. But let's go and have a strim. Right, well, I've got this rather horrible section of grass at the back of my garden here that's overgrown that I've just ignored, so let's give it a go on here. I know I should be wearing proper PPE, but we take these risks, don't we? And if I injure myself, I just won't put it on the video. So never mind. Here we go anyway. Well, I am quite impressed with that. I mean, I have to say, that is a pleasure to use. I can't see Dave using the petrol very often. One thing I've noticed, it actually spins anti-clockwise from head down. I'm sure I read the review that said it would spin clockwise, but that, I suppose, means that it's got a true direction on the thread for repairs. But I should have spotted that when it came to looking at the guard, obviously, because the largest part of the guard is on this side. So let's have a look underneath. Yeah, as with any strimmer, you will get this clogging out, which I insist on cleaning out, but my guys don't. I'm really struggling to find a reason why this isn't part of every gardener's toolbox, van, whatever. It's got to be to do with the run time. Only time will tell, really. And this wasn't an on-off switch either, this thing. I've just seen it in the light. This switch here is actually high and low, and I've got it on low. So let's put it on high and see what happens. Hear the difference. I just switched it down. Turn it on. Why would you have it on high? If you really had some thick grass to get through and it kept on clogging up and you wanted to blast it out of the way, you put it on high maybe, but I can't see a reason for that otherwise. So there we go, I just had a little go, as I'm sure you I'm aware, but I've got a slug on me now. Get out and walk, sunshine. Anyway, overall I'm really impressed. I mean, it's a pleasure. I mean, let's talk about the pros and cons, right? The pros are the lightweight, less vibration, easy to use, no petrol, no mixing two-stroke, having to show guys how to mix two-stroke and then the risk that they're just putting petrol in there because they're being lazy, and then filling it up with petrol, putting no lubricant in there like the oil and two-stroke oil, and then the thing seizes up and they can't pull the cord. No pulling the cord. I mean, mine's throwing my shoulder sometimes trying to just pull it, trying to get that thing started so many times. Same as the mower. So those are all benefits. And there's much more benefits to having a battery powered one, more than the short-sighted, is it a benefit to me? Really, I'm a gardener, I care about the environment, and this is a completely, like, almost green. Like they say it's a green, no emissions and stuff, but obviously making power doesn't always come from a green source, so it's not 100%, you know, solar power would be, but I think we're a long way off that yet. But it is pretty damn green. Using petrol fumes, we're talking minimal still per tank, but it's still, I love the idea that I'm helping the environment. The environment is my job, and I think it's a great thing to be able to say to your customers, especially if you go battery based for all of it, chainsaw, mower, you know, you can advertise yourself as the green gardener. I'm sure somebody's probably coined that already, but those are the benefits. The cons is the runtime, and I don't know what that is yet. As with all batteries, you probably experienced it on your Nokia 3310 years ago, like the more you charge it, obviously the batteries are completely different now. Lithium ion is a brilliant charging system, the best we've ever had, and I think you're not going to experience it so much, but it's just they can't get away with it. The more you charge it, the more you use it, over time you'll have less and less runtime. You'll have to replace the battery. There's arguments for and against that, but evidence shows it. You know, you have a battery for 2 years, it's not going to hold the charge, it's not going to run, it's not going to have the output that it had 2 years ago. So that's a little bit of a downtime. This, I think people are afraid to say what the runtime is of these because they don't say it on their website. They give you an estimate, obviously, but you hear rumour of these lasting much longer than what's been said, and then you also hear rumours of them not lasting so long. So again, we'll only find out when we put it to the test, and the way I don't think doing it all in one blast is the best way to do it, but going and doing our standard maintenance jobs, between 5 and 10 maintenance jobs a day of small gardens, mowing and trimming, if it gets through that, then why would I use petrol at all? Why would I use a petrol strimmer? The only time I use a petrol strimmer is if I'm doing a garden clearance and I need to trim down lots of overgrowth. But you just watch the video, and when I put that thing on high, even when it was on low, it was cutting through the branches of that weed. I don't know what it was, you know, some sort of weed growing out there with ease. And even the bit of bush that was there I hit, it was chopping bits off that. You know, I've got no issues with this being powerful enough to do the job, but it's the runtime. The beauty of the runtime is this is a pretty standard battery. The XR batteries they use on all of their tools, pretty much. You can get the FlexiVolt ones, which are the new thing. I don't think that means these will be discontinued. So the bigger the batteries they make, the longer your runtime. The longer the charge time, granted, but the longer the runtime. For £200, and you get a 5Ah battery with it, I can't see a lot of the cons, really. Say I am more surprised than I thought I would be, and £200 for the strimmer. You can get the strimmer just itself for $149 if you've already got the batteries. Now, why would you not buy that and have it alongside your petrol strimmer? I'm not saying it's ready to replace the petrol strimmer for landscape gardeners, but it definitely is looking like it's going that way. And to jump this in and out of the van just to do the quick tidy up jobs, I mean, that's going to increase productivity. The fuel costs are going to go down. The time it takes to start is part of the productivity, but also the repair costs. And there's no pulling that cord, there's no snapping the cord, there's no opening it up to try and wind the spring back into place. There's no maintenance. There's no maintenance. Like, the only maintenance I can think of with this would be cleaning it. There's no maintenance. You don't have to oil it. I looked all around. I can't see anything about the oiling the joint in the head. They seem to be quite happy with how that works. So really, it seems like a really worthwhile investment. If it speeds up productivity and it lowers your costs, that is a business investment. Now, £200, you've already got a strimmer there. Why would you spend £200 when you can just continue to use that? I would say with the amount of string we do in the summer, we could probably easily go through, just on the maintenance jobs, we could easily go through maybe £10 a fortnight's worth of unleaded, not including the sort of fuel, the oil, but say £10 a fortnight, so that's 52 weeks in a year. You're looking at 240 a year. You've covered your costs in a year. Now, I'm not saying this will last forever, I'm not saying you might have to buy more batteries for it, but I think it's a worthwhile investment. I'll put the link in the description of where you can get it on Amazon. But I honestly think if you do a lot of quick jobs, small garden maintenance, £15 garden maintenance jobs, I do 10 a penny. So to have to pull the cord every time and put fuel in and leaks in the van, and this just seems like a dream come true, and only time will tell how good it's going to be. I will do a follow-up review and tell you how good it's going to be as far as runtime is concerned, what problems I've encountered, and whether it's worth it. But that's a video for another time. If you do like the video, hit the like and subscribe button, stay with me. I'll put the link down in the description where you can get hold of the batteries, where you can get over the FlexiVolt one, and this one, of course, is the one I'm recommending. There is other ones on the market. The Eco, if you wanted to really spend out and splash out on the money, I'd say the Eco, but the mowers and stuff are so expensive. Like £500 minimum, they're just push, they're not self-propelled. So I think, yes, the batteries are a little bit better on them, and they've got the automatic wind on string wind head, which is really beneficial. But on all honesty, 200 quid against that one, which is I think 219, but then the batteries are expensive. You only get 2 AH battery with it, I think. This one comes with a 5. And if you do decide to go full battery base and you get the mower, it's going to start costing you. I think the mower for this is around 400 quid. And it uses comes with 2 of these, so you can whop them out, put it in your strimmer if you're running low. You know, you can manage yourself. I can see this being the real future of garden maintenance, especially in the landscaping world. Less cost is more money for us guys. So have a look. Thanks for watching. If you're still here, then good on you, because I have rambled a lot in this video, but I hope you found it useful. As I said, like and subscribe, stay with me, and I'll get some more tech on the channel soon. Take care.